Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar. My name is Sondra, I'm a sales rep here at Tradlinx, and thank you for joining us today. Let me start with a simple question. Do you know exactly how much your company paid in detention and demurrage last month? If you hesitated, you're not alone. Most logistics and procurement teams only discover this number at the end of the month. And by that point, it's no longer a logistics issue, it's a financial issue that's hard to fix. Today's webinar is not just about understanding what D&D is, it's about how to control it proactively, before the invoice shows up and before the costs hit your P&L. We'll spend the next 20 minutes showing you exactly how Tradlinx Ocean Visibility makes that possible. Let's dive in. So before we go further, let's just quickly explain exactly what we mean by demurrage and detention. So demurrage is a charge you get when your container stays inside the terminal longer than the free time. Think of it as a parking fee. The longer you leave your car in a parking lot, the more you have to pay. Detention is charged when your container is outside of the terminal, at your yard, at the warehouse, wherever. And when you return it late, it's like returning a book at the library late. You pay a little bit of a return fee. Both charges only kick in after free time expires. So that's the grace period. It's usually around 5 to 10 days, depending on your carrier or port, and you can use the container or terminal space without any additional cost. Conceptually, this looks straightforward, but it gets complex once you start managing multiple carriers, different trade lanes, different free time policies, and dozens or hundreds of containers moving in and out every single week. So D&D does not happen by accident. There are usually very clear reasons, and most of them fall into two categories, internal and external. So the internal, or how we might call it, process-driven reasons, might be things like documentation errors that might delay customs clearance, or changes in production or warehouse schedule that mean there's suddenly no space to receive the container. These are factors where, in theory, we have some sort of control over it. External factors, however, then there are information and coordination problems. For example, free time rules, discharge dates, gate out events, all of this information is scattered across carrier portals, terminal systems, emails, spreadsheets. The shipper sees part of the picture, the forwarder sees another part, and nobody sees the whole real-time view of what containers are actually at risk of detention and demurrage costs. And finally, there's the external factors. Port congestion, limited truck capacity, terminal restrictions, last-minute schedule changes. We can't control these, but we can detect them early and adjust thereafter. Here's the reality though. Many D&D charges could have been avoided. Not by changing the port or the carrier, but simply by seeing the risk earlier and acting on it proactively. So how expensive can D&D actually get? Well, there's no single global average, and it varies widely by port, carrier, equipment type, but independent industry benchmarks gives us a kind of sense of scale. For example, the 2022 container exchange benchmark showed that average combined D&D charges across major global ports reach around $664 per container for a 14-day period. In high-cost markets like the US, especially in markets like US ports during congestion periods, that number can easily exceed $2,000 for the same time frame as the other one. What makes this even more painful is the step-up structure that most carriers use. You'll often see tariffs that look like this. For the first few days after free time, relatively modern daily charges, but then as days pass, this rate really rapidly accelerates. Sometimes doubling, tripling after certain thresholds, after day 10, 15, or 20. What this means in practice is that even a 2 to 3 day delay after free time, especially in a 40-foot container, can quickly add up to hundreds of dollars in extra cost. The exact amount depends on your specific carrier, port, and contract. But the structure is always the same. Every day after free time is a day that burns cash. So there are three reasons why we think D&D management is more critical now than ever before. So these three reasons are costs remain structurally high, carriers are tightening policies, and D&D is becoming a strategic KPI, not just a cost line item. So for the first point, the cost remains structurally high. Even after the peak of the pandemic disruption, D&D charges are globally still above pre-COVID levels. Container exchange data show that 14-day average jumped from $586 in 2020 to $886 in 2021, a 38% hike. And while it came down to $664 in 2022, that's still significantly higher than the historical norms. When it comes to the carriers who are tightening policies, many major carriers have shortened free time windows and increased D&D tariffs to improve container utilization. This shifts more risk and more costs onto shippers and forwarders. The rules we were used to 2 years ago may no longer apply now. Third, the D&D is becoming a strategic KPI, not just a cost line item. Leading supply chain organizations now track delay-based charges, demurrage, detention, storage, as a core performance metric. Research shows that companies who manage this systematically can reduce these costs by 20 to 25% year to year. So D&D is no longer just an annoying invoice at month end. It's a supply chain capability that separates high-performing logistics teams from the rest. So if D&D is this important, why do so many companies still struggle with it? The answer is very simple. The tools don't match the problem. In most organizations, D&D management looks like this. Data is fragmented across carrier portals, terminal websites, emails from your forwarder, and internal spreadsheets. There is no single source of truth. Operations teams are doing manual tracking, calculating remaining free days for dozens or hundreds of containers, updating spreadsheets every morning, checking carrier tariffs, trying to stay ahead of the expiry date. It's time-consuming, error-prone, and frankly, unsustainable at scale. And because of this, most D&D is discovered reactively. When the invoice arrives at the end of the month, at that point there's nothing you can do. The cost is already locked in. But I would like to describe this as trying to stop a wave with your bare hands. You only see the problem when it's already upon you. So before we move on, I want to share one more resource with you. A few months ago, Tradlinx conducted an in-depth research project on this exact topic. The result is a comprehensive report called D&D Cost Risk, Deep Dive Analysis and Integrated Response Strategy. This report goes much deeper than what we can cover here today. It includes detailed breakdown of 5 major root causes of driving D&D costs, real-world case studies from different industries, and actionable strategies you can implement immediately. The best part is completely free. Simply visit www.tradlinx.com, go to Market Insights and download it. We'll also include the link in the follow-up email. Now, if that report shows you the why and the what of D&D management, what I'm about to show you next is the how of D&D management. Because here's the question we hear all the time. Great strategy, but how do I actually track dozens or hundreds of containers in real time every single day? That's exactly why we built Tradlinx Ocean Visibility. Let me show you how it works. Let me introduce you to Tradlinx Ocean Visibility D&D Monitoring. Here's what it does in simple terms. It monitors 2 things in real time, terminal dwell and street dwell. So terminal dwell, how long containers are sitting inside the terminal, and street dwell, how long containers have been outside the terminal after gate out. These 2 metrics directly map the demurrage and detention risk. The system automatically identifies containers at risk of exceeding the free time, and it gives you smart filtering so you can immediately zero in on the containers that needs the most attention. For example, show me all the containers that have been in the terminal for more than 7 days. Show me all containers with less than 2 free days remaining, or show me all containers that were picked up 10 days ago and still haven't had empty container return. And then it gives you the actionable outputs of this. For forwarders, you can export clean Excel reports showing at-risk containers and estimated cost exposure, and share that directly with your customer as a value-added service. For large shippers, we offer API integration, so D&D risk data flows directly into your existing ERP or TMS. Your teams don't need to log into another tool, the risk just appears where they already work. The entire goal is very, very simple. See D&D risk before it becomes a cost. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. I'm going to walk you through a live demo using a realistic scenario. So when you start the Tradlinx Ocean Visibility, this will be your dashboard. This is where everything happens. As you can see here, this is all the shipments that you put in. So in order to put in a shipment using a master BL, you simply click on BL tracking. Once you are on this page, you click Add Master BL. Put the master BL in, very simple, the carrier code and a reference number, which can be anything, and house BL, invoice number, client name, you name it. It's up to you to categorize it internally. Once you've done that, it shows up on this page. This is a BL tracking page. Using satellite data, we actually show you the live location of each shipment you have. For example, this one, as an example, is outside Brazil. This is the live location, and we update this satellite data every half an hour to 2 hours on average. You're able to see all the transshipment data, you can see the ETA and ATA of every part of the journey, and this leads us to the D&D Monitoring page. So every master BL you have put into our system will have a certain set of containers attached to it. Using this information, container data and the master BL data, we are able to put that information into our D&D monitoring system, and you're able to see then the terminal dwell and the street dwell of that specific shipment. So as you can see here, this is all the master BLs that I have put into the system, and you can see every single master BL shows the terminal dwell, and once it has happened, it will also show the street dwell, so until empty container return. So if you want to see specifically shipments that have a terminal dwell over 7 days, you just simply click here. It's a quick filter. You can see every single shipment you have registered that have a terminal dwell over 7 days. If you want to see whichever shipment have a street dwell over 7 days, you simply click the street dwell button. As you can see here, you can see exactly how many days of street dwell they have and which shipment have the street dwell over 7 days. If you want to see a shipment who has a street and terminal dwell over 7 days, just click both of them, and here you can see we actually only have one shipment that has the terminal and street dwell over 7 days. Another way to filter this is, for example, you can put, because depending on the port, the free time might be different. So if you want to see a terminal dwell only 3 days or more, you can click on this button and click apply. This will then show up. You can do the same for 14 days, etc. That way you can really customize it to the port and shipping line that you are using specifically. That way it's easier for you to calculate the detention and demurrage cost for yourself and your shipment. You're also able to check specific container events, for example, discharge, gate out, or empty return, in order to see which containers are actually right now at risk of exceeding this limit. For example, if you want any container that has gate out but has not empty return yet, you simply click this. Here you can see these are the containers that are gate out but have not been delivered yet. And with that, you can also click the street dwell button to then sort it by time. And as you can see here, these are all the containers gate out but not empty container return. If you then want to additionally filter it, you can do, for example, by +7 days, if that's the port or shipping line policy that you're using. Click apply, and here you can see all containers street dwell over 7 days, gate out, but not empty container return. This way you can always keep track of everything and act proactively on your detention and demurrage costs. You're also able to sort this by container number, master BL number, or reference number if you have a certain container or master BL you want to actually track specifically. You can also search for specific ports to see the trend of detention and demurrage time, street dwell, and terminal dwell. For example, let's just use, for example, if you put the port of Los Angeles in California, United States, you can then see all the terminal dwells of the containers you have right now in Los Angeles, California. You can also do it by carrier. For example, if you want to see the street dwell and the terminal dwell of shipping of containers from, for example, Hapag-Lloyd, you click that. And here you can see all that information as well. Hapag-Lloyd, not empty container return yet, but gate out. As you can see here, so it all depends on your shipments. Whichever shipping lines you're using, whichever ports you're using, you're able to check this, all customizable, all catered to your needs and catered to your specific shipments. That way you can stay ahead of time and proactively react to any detention and demurrage occurrences that might happen. So thank you so much for watching our webinar. If you have any further questions or are wondering more about Tradlinx Ocean Visibility or our D&D monitoring feature, please email me, sander.lunden@tradlinx.com. Thank you so much for watching.